Race 2 of a brand new season for the ADAC GT Masters. We are at the Hockenheimring. Hello everybody. It is a glorious, hot, sunny day here at Hockenheim. And we are at the Festival of Dreams. We are celebrating 75 years of Porsche. It was in 1948. The Ferry Porsche started such a wonderful story, and since then it is a name that has gone on to make all sorts of headlines in the history of cars and of motorsport. There's no better way to celebrate Porsche than what we had yesterday. Race 1 of the season, it was a win for Christoph Huber's Porsche 911 GT3R, his first ever race in the ADAC GT Masters in the hands of Tim Zimmermann and Jackson Evans. It was a fab job by them, and they took the win in the first race of what will be a 12-race season as we look at Elias Seppänen getting ready to get on board his Mercedes AMG GT3 Evo. He's starting from second on the grid for this race today. You saw a glimpse of another Mercedes just now. That's Arjun Maini, who starts on pole position, and Sven Müller, a real legend in the world of Porsche, who starts third on the grid, and it is his job to uphold Porsche honours for 2 days running. It is a brand new season. We've started a bit later in the year as than what we would normally expect, and it has been a really busy winter for the ADAC, having taken the DTM on board as well. It has meant that the GT Masters fits just a little bit differently in the general structure of the ADAC, but it's still a great series. Not as many cars here today as we have come to expect, but we're expecting the field to grow significantly as the season progresses. And as yesterday proved, you do not need 30 cars for a good race, because yesterday was a fantastic race. It really was an epic showdown, which saw Jackson Evans and Tim Zimmermann take that win. Today, they start a bit further back on the grid. They are down in 5th place, so they've got a bit of work to do from there. As we look at the sole Lamborghini on the grid, it started on pole position yesterday in the hands of Benjamin Heites, but got involved in an incident in the race which meant an unscheduled pit stop and tyre change. Rejoined eventually with Marco Mappelli at the wheel to come home in 8th place. There is Jackson Evans and Tim Zimmermann enjoying this glorious sunshine, and it is glorious indeed. 27.4 degrees centigrade and getting hotter by the minute. There is a big crowd in here enjoying this festival as we take a look at the Schubert Motorsport BMW being driven by Ben Green along with his co-pilot Eduardo Cosseteng. There has been a real festival atmosphere here all weekend. We had live music on a giant sound stage that went on into the night last night. There were parties, there were barbecues, there was food, drink, dancing. It was such a great atmosphere, and what a celebration of Porsche. As we look at Ben Green, just trying to catch a little bit of shade there. Also Ralph Aron, who starts next to Ben Green on the grid, or would that be in 7th place in the Haupt Racing Team Mercedes. So another big crowd in today, and there was something in the region of 40,000 people yesterday. Don't know how many it is today, but all enjoying the atmosphere. We've had Carrera Cup Germany, Porsche Carrera Cup Germany, Porsche Carrera Cup Benelux, but now the ADAC GT Masters kicking off their season, and part 2 of the weekend. It is a season that from here will go on to the Norris Ring, and that is from the 7th to the 9th of July. And what a privilege it will be to return to the Norris Ring after many, many years, and it'll be the first GT Masters race on a street circuit for a very long time indeed. And a lot of people very excited for that, and the GT Masters will be part of the DTM package throughout 2023 on many occasions. It'll be the Norris Ring, and on 3 other occasions also alongside DTM. They're also alongside the Truck Grand Prix at the Nürburgring from the 14th to the 16th of July. That'll be round 3 of the ADAC GT Masters. then it's with the DTM package for the rest of the year. The 8th to the 10th of September is round 4 at the Sachsenring, and if you've never seen the Sachsenring, you need to see it. The undulation, the controversy, the deep gravel traps. It is a wonderful weekend, always creates entertaining racing. Round 5 sees us move to Austria for the Red Bull Ring, 22nd to the 24th of September. And then it all comes to a close back here again. We return to Hockenheim, the traditional season closer for the ADAC GT Masters, 20th to the 22nd of October for races 11 and 12, where we will be crowning the brand new champion in ADAC GT Masters, Raffaele Marciello, who won the title last year, not eligible to take part this year. Platinum drivers. Well, he wouldn't have been eligible in the format of last year. Dual platinum drivers are no longer permitted. Each team must have a silver or gold or bronze driver within it, making it more of a training ground. And there is a person who has been trained up, Dylan Yip, in at the deep end a little bit with Liquimoli Team Engsler. Dylan Yip had never raced at Hockenheim until yesterday and has just learning GT3 racing for the very first time. And it's Team Engsler, Liquimoli Team Engsler, who have taken hold of Dylan Yip and his co-driver, Kwanda Mokoena from South Africa. And these two drivers, neither of whom have any experience in GT3 racing or indeed here at Hockenheimring, have been learning and learning very quickly. A solid job yesterday saw them bring the Liquimoli Team Engsler Audi R8 home in 10th place. And both drivers absolutely loving the experience. As we see Elias Seppinen climbing on board his car, the number 48 Team Landgraf Mercedes. He shares that with Salmon Vega. A good qualifying yesterday from Salmon Vega, but a poor first lap saw him drop back through the pack. He was fighting back very well indeed, but a collision with some debris on the track saw the Mercedes steering damaged shortly after Elias Seppinen had taken over during the pit stops, and the car had to retire. It was, in fact, the only non-finisher yesterday, but Elias Seppinen, who's qualified P2 today, really wants to put that to right as we watch Kwanda Mokoena, a real character, I have to tell you, a real character who is loving his time at GT Masters already. There he is, just walking off the grid. He will have the second stint in that seat there. Dylan Yip from Macau, who will do the first stint of driving. He had his first ever qualifying session this morning, and he did a good job and was just solid times. He lines up at the back of the pack, but it was not a disgraceful time by any stretch of the imagination. The car that lined up on pole position, Arjun Maini in that car there, the number 3 Team HRT Mercedes, recorded a lap time of 1:36.961, which is an absolute record time for GT3 cars around the Hockenheim ring. In so doing, he earned himself 3 points. Second on the grid, Elias Seppinen also earned himself and teammate Salmon Vega 2 points, and Sven Muller, with his third on the grid, earned 1 point for himself and Finn Gersitz. Arjun Maini starts on pole position. He is sharing the driving with Petru Razvan Umbrarescu, and he will get 3 points as well as a result of that qualifying pole position. One other parish notice to tell you about, and that is that Jackson Evans and Tim Zimmerman will be carrying 20 kilograms of success penalty as a result of their win yesterday. They didn't have it in qualifying this morning, but it's applied for this race only. Ben Green and Eduardo Cosateng will have an extra 10 kilos in the Schubert Motorsport BMW for finishing second, and Janis Fitcher and Nico Menzel will have an additional 5 kilograms as a result of finishing third. That's just for this race. Also overnight, a change to the BOP, that is the balance of performance that ensures that all the cars are equal as can possibly be, and there's been a slight adjustment. So the Audi and the Mercedes have both lost 10 kilograms, so they are lighter. So the Mercedes is now 1,315 kilograms, the Audi is 1,300 kilograms, so they're a bit lighter than yesterday, and I would suggest that an all Mercedes front row says that that might have helped them somewhat. The two Audis are still lurking at the back. We have Dylan Yip that we've spoken about already, but also Jonas Karklees in the Jutta Racing Audi R8 LMS Evo lines up 9th on the grid, and he is sharing duties with Jonas Gelthinis, both Lithuanian, both drivers who have TCR experience. It has been a baptism of fire as they have switched to GT3 racing, completely different concept of racing. But they have done very well as they have taken that on board. They finished 9th yesterday. Good, solid points. This field may well grow. It looks likely to grow as the season progresses. So picking up points early on is going to pay dividends when this season comes to a stop. That looks like Igor Valilko, I do believe, that we're looking at. And that's Sven Muller in the Team U Sport Wagen Technik Porsche. He is sharing with Finn Gersitz. But Sven Muller, who is an experienced pilot, particularly in Porsches. He knows Porsches inside out. He did a good job this morning in qualifying to put it 3rd on the grid. So he is the driver who is best placed to uphold Porsche honours in this, their anniversary weekend. So you can see the cars lined up Le Mans style, and we will be getting ready to go in just a few minutes when the cars will start on their formation lap. And we're looking just briefly there at the Arjun Maini car. Of course, Arjun Maini, who is also running in DTM this year. He's the first Indian driver to feature in GT Masters, and a very welcome addition and very rapid. Marco Mappelli, for those who follow GT Masters, there's a name that will be very familiar, as indeed will be his team, GRT Grasser Racing. They've featured prominently in the past. They weren't here last year, but they're back again. We welcome them with open arms to the Austrian team, based literally within a stone's throw of the Red Bull Ring, are here back in GT Masters for 2023. 3 minutes until the engines start and the drivers start on their formation lap. The tension is building. A lot of experienced drivers on the track, but also a lot of new drivers as well. One of the drivers who did very well yesterday was Kim Louis Schramm, who took the lead of the race with a wonderful move. He's sharing with Igor Valilko. It is Valilko who will start off with the car at the start of this race, and Igor Valilko along with Kim Louis Schramm are down on row 4, so 8th on the grid. So a bit of work to do from there, but it is all possible. This will be a 60-minute race plus 1 lap as we look at Jackson Evans, his first ever win in ADAC GT Masters yesterday in his first ever race. And what a success story for Christoph Huber, the team owner, who has brought 11 cars to race here this weekend as part of Carrera Cup Germany, Porsche Carrera Cup Benelux, and GT Masters, 11 cars on the grid. He's got his hands full. And when I spoke to him yesterday afternoon, he'd already forgotten about his GT Masters debut win. His focus was back onto Carrera Cup, and it'll be back on to GT Masters now. And then it'll be back on to Carrera Cup Germany for later on this afternoon. He is one busy man, not to be confused with Reinhard Huber. So we have 2 teams called Huber on the grid. Confused much? We have Huber Racing and we have Huber Motorsport. Huber Motorsport is Reinhard Huber's team, and they are fielding Nico Menzel and Yanis Fitcher, and that is a potent driver combination. They are the drivers who finished 3rd yesterday. Nico Menzel, who was very much, well, he's a racer through and through, but also a presenter, and has commentated on GT Masters for many years in Germany, and has decided to have a go behind the wheel along with Yanis Fitcher, who is a very experienced Porsche driver. So that's Huber Motorsport, and then Huber Racing, which is the Jackson Evans and Tim Zimmerman car. Right. Oh, the ground has started to shake as all of these cars rumble into life in the glorious sunshine here at the Hockenheimring. It is a circuit, a legendary circuit that is 4.574 kilometers around. That equates to 2.842 miles. 17 turns, 9 of them are to the right and 8 of them are to the left. Best overtaking opportunities are, well, the best of all is into turn 6, the hairpin, but it is a controversial corner, a 180-degree turn. The drivers come along the parabolica absolutely flat out, then heavy braking into turn 6, and then that 180 turn. It's a great opportunity to duck up the inside or find room around the outside, but so many drivers come unstuck on that corner as well, because it is very, very tricky. So an awful lot to be won and an awful lot to be lost on that corner. The other good opportunities into turn 1, but be aware, track limits bite hard. Turn 1 has a massive runoff area, and some drivers have been using an awful lot of that runoff area, and the stewards are taking a very dim view on it and have been handing out penalties for drivers who exceed the track limits into turn 1. They might get away with it on the opening lap, but after that the stewards tend to intervene. So turn 1, good spot for overtaking, but also a good spot to pick up a penalty. The penalty box will tell you some more about that as the race progresses. Hopefully we won't see anybody visiting the penalty box, but there's a fair chance we probably will. Let's take a look at the grid for this race 2 of a 12-race season. It is Hockenheim for Hout Racing on pole position, with Elias Seppänen for Landgraf Motorsport making it an all-Mercedes front row. Row 2, Sven Muller in the Porsche alongside the Lamborghini of Marco Mappelli for GRT Grasser Racing. What a great camera angle. Jackson Evans, yesterday's winner, alongside Ben Green, line up on row 3 of the grid. And on row 4, it's Ralph Aron. Welcome, Ralph, and Igor Velilko. Good to have them both in the series this year. On row 5 of the grid, it is Jonas Karklees and Nico Menzel, yesterday's third-place finisher. And then bringing up the rear, the young duo, Dylan Yip for Liquimoli Team Engsler, coached by Luca Engsler, and he's doing a great job getting them up to speed. The cars on their formation lap around this circuit, and that is around turn 10 at the moment. You can see here, temperature's still rising, 27.6. We reckon we're going to be 30 by the end of the day. The track at 48.4, so tide degradation could be a big issue. There's very little wind here, so if you see any shade, it tends to be packed with spectators trying to stay cool. They're on the roof of the Porsche Experience Centre on this, the weekend where we celebrate all things Porsche. 75 years of Porsche sport, but Mercedes want to come and spoil the party. Hockenheim, it starts on pole position. Elias Seppänen alongside the leading Porsche, Sven Muller, is in third place. They've got to get it across the line first, though. Will it be Hockenheim who leads into turn 1, or will it be Elias Seppänen? It will be Mercedes versus Mercedes. The Porsches are in the background ready to pick up the pieces, as indeed are the BMWs and the Audis. The safety car peels off into the pit lane. The cars now side by side. This is the Festival of Dreams. This is race 2 of a 12-race season for the ADAC GT Masters, and Hockenheim already well ahead as they head into turn 1. Elias Seppänen into second, Sven Muller into third. So around turn 1 they all come, but what a start from Hockenheim. Sven Muller already putting the heat onto Elias Seppänen. We saw the 25 car Nico Menzel going a bit wide in the background, picking up a bit of dirt, but Sven Muller is eager to get past Elias Seppänen as soon as possible. This opening lap, when the cars are all bunched together, the best opportunity to get past, but also the best opportunity to have a big accident. Sven Muller has Marco Mappelli behind in the mighty Lamborghini. Suddenly, the attacker becomes the person who is having to defend, because Sven Muller has Marco Mappelli on his outside into the hairpin. The tough hairpin. Nico Menzel having a moment under braking. We're looking at Ben Green in the Schubert Motorsport BMW further back in the pack, but it's Hockenheim who leads the way. Elias Seppänen, Sven Muller and Marco Mappelli. The 1, 2, 3, 4. Jackson Evans in there in 5th place, and then it's Ben Green. Ben Green, though, coming under pressure from Ralph Aron in the Mercedes, and then Igor Velilko and Jonas Karklees, Nico Menzel and Dylan Yip bringing up the rear of the pack. Here comes Hockenheim, though. A very solid start. Now Ben Green having a look on the inside of Jackson Evans. It's Porsche versus BMW, but Jackson Evans holding on. Remember, he is carrying a success penalty as well. Ben Green, a previous winner, a 2 times previous winner for Schubert Motorsport in the BMW. It was at the Red Bull Ring last year. He's also the outgoing junior champion in ADAC GT Masters, and he has aspirations to take this title this year. He sees it as a great opportunity. He wants to move forwards as quickly as possible in this race before he hands the car over to his co-driver. But Jackson Evans is a wily character, and it's going to take a lot of work to find a route past him as we ride with Igor Velilko in 8th place. Nico Menzel has found a route past Jonas Karklees, but Sven Muller has found a route past Elias Seppänen. That is for 2nd place. So Sven Muller makes his move on the Landgraf Mercedes and now sets about after Arjumani, but Elias Seppänen, a talented young driver. He was so quick in free practice on Friday. He's been quick every time we've seen him. Now he comes alongside on the parabolic and tries to make a move, ducks back to the inside onto the hairpin, under braking, but Sven Muller has this one covered off at the moment. But how much longer? Behind that looked like Jackson Evans, also running side by side briefly with Ben Green. Ben Green tucked in back behind. Close racing here. Arjumani has broken clear, but look at this fight for second, third, fourth, fifth and sixth, all running in a row. We are riding on board with Jackson Evans staring at the back of the Marco Mappelli Lamborghini. We're having another look at the start. It looked all good. We've had no information on timing screens about any incidents, so a good, clean start. Always good to see that, isn't it? But Arjumani, well, he had checked out, hadn't he? Leading into that first corner. Further back, you can see Nico Menzel getting it on the grass. We saw a head-on of that as well, and yeah, that would have been a fairly lively moment for him in the car. Some great camera angles here as we look across from Jackson Evans and Ben Green, and Jackson Evans just making it past in that early stage. But this is a long race as we look at the perspective from Sven Muller's Porsche, staring at the back of Elias Sepänen's Mercedes, and that is a great angle. Is that on the side of Dylan Yip? I think it is. So great camera angle there. So this race, Sven Muller, oh, that's a replay of him getting on the inside of Elias Seppänen. Calm down, dear. So Sven Muller through into second place. Elias Seppänen, he was relegated down into third. And that was the depressing feeling that Seppänen would have had as he saw that Porsche come sliding through. And it looks as though Sven Muller has been able to open up a gap. Now Ben Green once again on the inside of Jackson Evans. It's Schubert Motorsport, the legendary team, against Hubert. And this time it goes the way of Ben Green, the BMW muscling its way past that Porsche. So yesterday's second place car passing yesterday's winner and stealing that position away. That is for fifth place. And now Jackson Evans is staring at the back of the BMW. If you're new to GT Masters, just to remind you that there will be a mandatory pit stop in this race. There will be a pit window that will open 25 minutes in the race. When the clock strikes 35, that window will remain open for 10 minutes. What a great camera shot that is. That's from Igor Valilko, I do believe. The window will remain open for 10 minutes and then it will close when the clock strikes 35. In that 10-minute window, every car will need to visit the pit lane for a mandatory stop and driver change. Strictly no tyre changes, but there will be the driver change. There is also a minimum pit stop time, 65 seconds. So if the driver is in the pits for less than that time for pit entry to pit exit, he will pick up a penalty. As we look again at that move that Ben Green made on Jackson Evans, that is what they would call in the trade a textbook move around the hairpin, and Jackson Evans leaving a big gap. Ben Green taking advantage of it, holding a nice tight line and then powering that mighty BMW M4 GT3 prepared for him by Schubert Motorsport, the legendary team from just outside Oschersleben Arena. And here is Igor Valilko coming under pressure, and the Ralph Aron car. So Ralph Aron is in 7th, Igor Valilko in 8th, and Aron is holding on. But how much longer? So Ralph Aron in the Mercedes, who is sharing with Alain Valente, who had a mixed day yesterday. They came home in 7th place. And Igor Valilko, that is the view from the front grille of the number 10 car. He wants to make as good a progress as possible before he hands the car over to Kim Louis Schramm. Our leader continues to be Arjumani, but he's not pulling away too much. You can see a bit of dust in the background. The driver's using all of the corner and perhaps a teeny bit more. Arjumani, 1.37 seconds was the gap last time around. It was, in fact, Arjumani was the one who picked up that dust, and that's a long way out, so needs to be very careful, because any damage to that car at all, you can lose downforce, you can lose handling, you can get a puncture. We saw it yesterday. And Elias Seppänen would certainly tell him all about that, that any contact on the front and you could easily break the steering, cut a tyre, or any kind of problems like that. But it's Arjumani leading the way at the moment. 1.391 was the last time over the start-finish line. Sven Muller in second place, Elias Seppänen in third, and Marco Mappelli in the sole Lamborghini in fourth, ahead of Ben Green and Jackson Evans. So let's keep an eye on Ben Green, because he is 9/10 of a second behind Marco Mappelli. At least he was the last time they crossed the line. Well, I was going to say, let's see whether that comes down, but visually you can see Ben Green at the hairpin has closed in on the Lamborghini. He is moving forwards. Another driver trying to move forwards is Igor Velilko, but he can't find a route past that Mercedes that's in front of him. So still, Ralph Aron, the older brother of Paul Aron, who features so prominently in open wheel racing. And it's Ralph Aron who is at the wheel of that car in 7th place. Marco Mappelli in 4th place in the GRT Grassa Lamborghini, an entertaining Italian driver who has been on the GT Masters scene for quite a few years now and always entertains. Ben Green, he's won twice. I think he's a bit frustrated as he wants to win some more. He was with Schubert Motorsport last year, sharing with Niklas Kruten. They utterly dominated at the Red Bull Ring. One of the very, very few drivers in the history of GT Masters to take back-to-back wins on the same weekend, as we see the cars taking such a wide line out of turn 17. But Ben Green really feels as though he has a point to prove. That was Ralph Aron getting very scruffy. This could be an opportunity for Igor Velilko, because there's going to be dirt on the tyres. He's going to have to jump quick if he wants to get past. Now into turn 1. Oh, that's a little bit wide. Track limits, what track limits? So Aron is holding on from Igor Velilko. Behind them, Nico Menzel in the number 25 car, not having as much good fortune today as he did yesterday. The 3rd place finish, probably feeling like a little way off as he is currently in 9th place. But this is a close battle, isn't it? For 7th place, Ralph Aron, Igor Velilko in the mighty BMW behind. Now Velilko, he has a look to the inside into the hairpin, thinks the better of it, maybe trying to sell the dummy. But I have to tell you, Ralph Aron is a wily old fox, and you have to get up pretty early in the morning to outfox him. Igor Velilko's view, there's a replay of Aron getting it all wide, getting that dust on his tyres. But sadly for Velilko, he wasn't able to cash in on that and make the progress that he wanted. Still, Arjun Maini leads the way. Sven Muller, Elias Seppänen, then this battle, Marco Mappelli and Ben Green. 0.647 was the gap, is now 0.478. So it's coming down 2/10 on that last lap as Ben Green closes in on the car in front. So no changes for position at the moment, but the field very much running together out of turn 17. Looking at Igor Velilko, great shots of the drivers, great shots out the front, and then flat out along the pit straight. Ralph Aron up ahead of him, now having broken clear somewhat. So the gap between first and second, 1.572, and then 1.7 between second and third. So spacing out at the moment, but it could all change, because in 9.5 minutes the pit window will open. And then there will be this 10-minute window where everybody needs to visit the pits. And in the case of some drivers, it will be the less experienced pilot who comes in some of the cars. So Arjun Maini, who is sharing with Petru Razvan Umbra-Rescue, well, I think Maini has considerably more experience than Umbra-Rescue does. And Sven Muller, who will be handing over to Finn Gersitz, another driver who is very new to the world of GT3 racing. He's come through the route of prototypes, so he will be taking over, and that will change the whole dynamic of the race. A great battle going on for 10th place. Jonas Karklees and Dylan Yip, the two Audis, the only two Audis in the race, running together. Dylan Yip has been learning this. Luca Engsler is the team boss this weekend for Liqui Team Engsler. Of course, we all know Luca Engsler. He was in GT Masters last year. He's now in the DTM, a very experienced pilot. He utterly dominated TCR Germany a couple of years ago. Now coaching these young drivers. And when talking about Dylan Yip and Kwanda Mokoena, he just said, look, we don't want to put them in TCRs. We don't want to put them in GT4. We want to get them into the big league, get them trained up, get them up to speed quickly, and take it from there. And both Dylan Yip and Kwanda Mokoena have really risen to the occasion. They are both absolutely loving it. They have been pretty solid the whole time. They brought the car home yesterday in one piece. They scored points for 10th place. and they are looking very solid as they get quicker and quicker with each race. So Dylan Yip had his first qualifying session this morning and had not disgraced himself on any level. Let's have a look at our leader, Arjun Maini. Well, it was 1.36 seconds over Sven Muller last time, and it looks to me visually as though Muller might be closing in. Ben Green certainly has closed in on Marco Mapelli, and ahead of them, Elias Zeppelin. This is going to turn into a three-way battle for the last of the podium positions before too long. We'll see as they cross the line how much they have closed up. It was 1.367 between first and second, 1.367. And we'll see what that is in just a few moments when they cross the line. But you can see how close it is for third place. Elias Zeppelin in the Mercedes, Marco Mapelli in the Lamborghini, Ben Green in the Schubert Motorsport BMW. The growl of the car as it comes past, it shakes the floor, and it's something to behold. It really is. These GT3 monsters. Right, out of 17 comes Arjun Maini. It was 1.367 last time. I'm going to reckon it's going to be a bit closer this time. 1.367, and now 1.3, so 0.6 of a second out of, no, 0.06 of a second out of the lead. So not a massive deficit, but Sven Muller nibbling away just a little bit. Elias Zeppelin is some 2.6 seconds behind them, but he is looking increasingly under pressure from Marco Mapelli. You don't need to have a clock to see how close they are to each other. There is the lap evolution at the bottom of your screen. You can see that Sven Muller is just very quietly, very slowly reeling in Arjun Maini, and Sven Muller really wants to put the Porsche back on the top step on this, the Festival of Dreams, the celebration of 75 years of Porsche sports here at the Hockenheimring. Still, the challenge is further back, and this one has been going for a long time. It's Igor Velilko and Ralph Aron, and Marco Mapelli has been given a black and white flag, as indeed has Dylan Yip, and that is for track limits. Turn one, we said that turn one might be a bit sketchy. Both drivers have raised the attention of the race steward, Sven Stopper, who has given them a warning, a black and white flag, but it means they're getting close to a penalty, and if they go over the line too many times more, they may well have a visit to the penalty box. There's confirmation on your screen of that. Now, the penalty box is a white box that is painted on the track on the exit of turn 6. It's off the racing line. If a driver receives a penalty lap, they will have to pass through that box for one lap at no more than 50 kilometers an hour. It equates to about 5 seconds. The box is 200 meters long, and it equates to about 5-second penalty. It's a lot less severe than a drive-through penalty. And this year, our race director also has at his discretion the ability to award more than one penalty lap. So it might be, as we saw yesterday, a driver receives 2 penalty laps. So for 2 consecutive laps, he has to pass through that box, which would equate to about a 10-second penalty. And yesterday, it was Finn Gersitz who was the unfortunate nominee of that award, as once again we see Ben Green putting the heat onto Marco Mapelli. Now to the inside, Lamborghini versus BMW. It is a drag race out towards turn 7, flat out. Ben Green just squeezes his way through, heavy braking into turn 8, sharp left turn, and Ben Green steals away 4th place from Marco Mapelli. So the Schubert Motorsport BMW is pushing forward. You see he went to the outside in the hairpin. Mapelli went to block him, and then Green ducks back to the inside. A great move there from the British driver. And then here's the run out to turn 7. He who dares keeps his foot flat on the floor on this corner. Green giving Mapelli the squeeze as he went up there, then into the heavy braking of turn 8. And now Green puts a gap between himself and Marco Mapelli and sets about after Elias Zeppelin. He can sniff a podium place and is not that far ahead of him, is it? The lead gap, well, that is down to 1.302, so it's not coming down in chunks, but Ben Green is closing in on the lead trio. There's Nico Menzel currently in 9th place. A fairly quiet race compared to yesterday, but as they say, the night is young. It could all change yet. And there is Igor Velilko and Ralph Aron, who continue their race-long battle. Still Ralph Aron in front. Massive crowd here at the Hockenheimring this weekend. Busy job getting in and out of the circuit, both yesterday and today. Great to see so many people enjoying this. A new era for the ADAC GT Masters. From small acorns come big trees. The small acorns have been planted, and this series is going to grow as the season progresses. And the ADAC GT Masters moves into a new and exciting chapter, supporting the DTM, also promoted by the ADAC. So riding on board with Igor Velilko, once again, the cam that is behind in the grille at the front of the car. Wonderful view, and you get a real perspective of how fast these cars are going around the Hockenheimring. 7 minutes until the pit window opens, and that is when all may change, because in most cases, it will be the less experienced drivers who will come in to the seat and take over. Not in all the cases, but in most of them. And that will change things around somewhat. Arjun Maini is still pressing on. He got a 6th place along with Petru Razvan Umbrerescu yesterday. First place would certainly be a bit of a bonus, wouldn't it? And he continues to press on at the front, building up as big a gap as possible, and it might be that the team decide to keep him out quite late in the pit window. He has a clear track in front of him, and he is arguably probably the quickest driver of the two, so the team would want to maximise the quickest driver of the duo. So I'd suggest that Arjun Maini might be staying out quite late in the pit window, as indeed might be the case with Sven Muller. Elias Seppänen will be handing over to Salman Vega when he comes in for his stop. Ben Green will be handing over to Eduardo Cosseteng, another driver who is learning the ropes in GT3 racing and having to learn quickly as he steps up to the League of Super Sports Cars. So Maini's lead, 1.7 seconds over Sven Muller. So he's opened up about 1.657. You can see that's actually an evolving picture on the graphic on your screen. So 1.668. So he's opened up 0.3 of a second on 2nd place. So he seems to be controlling it at the moment. But of course, it will all change once he's handed over to Petru Razvan Umbrerescu in the pit window. There is Dylan Yip, just chonking in the laps in qualifying this morning. Very much a different strategy to many of the other drivers who left it till very late in the session for when the track would potentially be quicker. Still, the wet tyres, we won't be needing those today. But Dylan Yip instead staying out for much of the session, just going around, getting used to it, getting up to speed, getting the rhythm, and it worked really well for him. Whereas many of the other drivers waited till quite late on in the session before going for the do-or-die hot lap, and that was Arjun Maini. And I believe that the 1:36.961 is the quickest anybody has ever taken a GT3 car around the Hockenheimring. Yesterday, Benjamin Highty set a lap record with his pole position, and that has been eclipsed today by Arjun Maini. So first and second, 1.429 is the gap between them at the moment. Elias Seppänen still in that 3rd place, and Ben Green not too far behind them, so about a second behind Elias Seppänen. So this is the view of Sven Muller. He is a driver who has so much experience in Porsche and in ADAC GT Masters. This will be his 54th race in GT Masters. He's won twice before. His last win was at the Nürburgring in 2020, so he'd really like to put that to bed and up that one a little bit. He's had 9 podiums and has been in GT Masters since 2017. And of course, we associate him for many years with Herberth Motorsport, and then Allied Racing, Jan Kasperlik's team. And now here he is with team U Sportwagen Technique, a youngish team who have made great moves when they entered the ADAC GT Masters last year and were instantly on the pace and instantly scoring good points and taking wins. And now Sven Muller at the wheel. His less experienced teammate Finn Gersitz will take that over when the pit window is closed. So 38 minutes remaining of this race. The cars have completed 13 laps and still very much as you were at the moment, but still lots of potential for change. 1.4 seconds is the gap between Elias Seppänen and Ben Green. We're keeping an eye on that one. Ben very much the man on the move so far. Ralph Aron in 7th place, Igor Mililko in 8th. 1.2 seconds between them. And the lead gap, 1.697 the last time they've crossed the start-finish line. And Arjun Maini. And there is Kwanda Mokoena getting ready to take over from Dylan Yip in the Liqui Team Engsler Audi, his 2nd ever race in ADAC GT Masters. The South African driver, his aim is to become a bigger name than Kelvin and Sheldon van der Linde. Well, good luck with that, but he has all the attitude and all the charisma to go with it. Thoroughly enjoying his time here at the Hockenheimring and learning as he goes. That is Finn Gersitz, who's going to be taking over from Sven Muller. It was the baptism of fire yesterday. Very much a different discipline. He's used to LMP prototype racing, a form of racing that is very much about downforce, and he will be taking over. And there is Tim Zimmerman, poised, ready for action to take over from Jackson Evans, who's in 6th place at the moment. Not able to make much progress from there, but Tim Zimmerman, another driver who's had a win in GT Masters, and that was at the Sachsenring, and in 2022, last year, in English, and he would like to add another one to that, and the one he had yesterday, of course, not forgetting the debut win for Christoph Huber's team yesterday. But Jackson Evans, the driver from New Zealand, currently the man at the wheel. But you can just see how nervous some of these drivers are. It is Alan Valente who will be taking over from Ralph Aron, and Petru Razvan Umbrescu who will take over from Arjun Maini. And within the next 30 seconds, the pit window will open, and then there will be this 10-minute gap where drivers will be required to come in for a stop. Interesting to see whether the success penalties had an effect. Well, I would suggest for Jackson Evans it probably has. He feels quite hung up in 6th place at the moment. The 20 kilos making a difference. Ben Green, maybe not much so. He had 2nd yesterday, but he's already up to 4th today, despite that 10 kilos extra. And the 5 kilos on Nico Menzel, well, he's down in 9th, so it clearly does have an effect. Right, as you can see, pit window is open for 10 minutes, and the first to come in, the number 10 car, Igor Vanilko, getting ready to hand over to Kim Louis Schramm. Also, Nico Menzel is in. He's going to hand it over to Janis Fischer. Both the drivers that are going to be taking over are probably the more experienced of the pair. So they are going to be taking the seats, and they've got a lot of hard work to do. Remember, from pit entry to pit exit, there is a 65-second minimum pit stop time. And if the driver goes below that 65 seconds, then he will get a penalty. There's also a speed limit in the pit lane of 50 kilometers an hour. So they need to think very carefully. The driver gets out, the next driver gets in. Kim Louis Schramm now on board. Only 2 mechanics allowed to work on the car, 1 to hold the lollipop. So the co-driver's job is not done when he gets out of the seat. He's got to help the other driver to get changed over and to get plugged in. That is Dylan Yip out, Kwanda Mokoena in. Now the adjustments, quick as you can, get everything buckled up, everything plugged in, and then it will be time to get out on track and take over. Very much a team sport. Whatever the driver has done to the car and done to the tyres in the first stint of the race, the second driver has to inherit those problems. And that is why it is such a team effort, because the 2 drivers have to work in harmony. And we've got some drivers who are juniors and seniors and others similar ranking. Kwanda Mokoena, he pulls out, tightening the belts as he goes out onto the pit lane, and minus 1.9. He's hit the pit lane exit before he needed to. So his pit stop has been too short. I'm just looking at the screen and it says at 1.03, so he's gone 2 seconds below the minimum pit stop time. Quando Mocoena is going to get a penalty. There is no doubt about that, because he's been stationary for 2 seconds too little, and that is dreadful news. You can see into the pits is also Jackson Evans handing over to Tim Zimmerman, also Alain Valente, who's handing over, no, it's not Alain Valente, it is Ralph Aron who's handing over to Alain Valente, get it right. So the two drivers swapping seats, and there is Valente taking over from Ralph Aron. So they want to time it tight. They want to get to the exit line when the clock strikes 0. They don't want to leave too much on the table, and they certainly don't want to go below. Quando Mocoena is under investigation. Oh, there's a surprise. 1.2 over for Zimmerman. So a little bit generous there. And it was a lot tighter for Valente. Out onto the track they come. So Quando Mocoena is going to have a message very shortly. I would expect it will be a visit to the penalty box, which is going to be a real shame. But it's all part of the rich tapestry that is learning to drive in GT Masters. Right, the Lamborghini is into the pits as we see Jackson Evans strolling across to the pit wall to see how things are going. Marco Mappelli's in. He's handing over to Benjamin Heitis. Our leader stays out. I would suggest that Arjun Maini will probably want to stay out till the last possible moment, as indeed will be the case probably with Sven Muller. The quickest drivers of the pairs probably wanted to maximise their time in the seat and create the best possible opportunities. There's your confirmation. It's going to be 2 visits to the penalty box. You just see it there on the left-hand side of your screen, the white penalty box painted on the track. And that is for Quando Mocoena because of the pit stop time, and going 2 seconds below, it means that for 2 laps, there he is, he's done 1 already. He's not hanging about, is he? Into the penalty box, no more than 50 kilometers an hour, up to speed. Bad news for there, Quando. You're going to have to do it again on the next lap as well. But at least it's not a drive-through penalty, which is what it used to be back in the day before the penalty box was a thing. It would have been a drive-through penalty, and that really ruins your day. Right, here is the 24 car in. That's Jonas Karklis handing over to Jonas Gelginis, Lithuanian driver, for Nordpass by Jutta Racing. And the Audi roars out and tries to hit the line. The driver has a clock on the dashboard and can adjust the speed, so 2 seconds over for Gelginis. And that's left a little bit of time on the table. The driver can monitor it with the race logic system that's on the dashboard and adjust the speed accordingly. But in the case of Quando Mocoena, it was just a little bit too late. Right, let's have a look at our leaders. Still Arjun Maini, still Sven Muller, still yet to pit. Elias Zeppanen also running late into the window, as is Ben Green. And there is our leader. And visually, it looks like Sven Muller has closed in a bit on the leader. And there is the back marking Gelginis. Just working around Elias Zeppanen as well. And there in the background, Ben Green. So the Audi, a lap down. Ben Green just flashing the lights. Come on, get out of the way. I want to get after that Mercedes in front of me. The Schubert Motorsport Mercedes. So another infringement under investigation. Well, it's not a minimum time, so something else for the Nordpass by Jutta Racing Audi, which was driven by Jonas Karklis and Jonas Gelginis. And something has happened. The pit stops are very heavily regulated, as already mentioned. Only 2 people are allowed to work on the car. Lots of other issues, so there has been an infringement, and a penalty lap has been awarded to the number 24 car. For something that has happened in the pit stop. It wasn't the minimum time, but something else that has broken the rules. So the 24 car is also going to have to visit the penalty box. So that's both of the Audis taking at least one trip through the penalty box. Ben Green getting a bit frustrated there. He's got the lap car in front of him. The penalty box cannot come too soon for him. He's going to have to work his way past before then, though, because he can see Elias Zeppelin, who has used the time that Ben Green has been caught up behind Galtines. He's used the time just to break a little bit clearer, and now Ben Green has all that hard work to do again to try and close in on the Mercedes, currently in third place. To remind you, the first four have all yet to pit. Arjun Maini, Sven Muller, Elias Zeppelin and Ben Green all leaving it till late in the window. Apart from that, everybody else has pitted. There is Ben Green now, having cleared the back marking Audi, sets about after the Mercedes. So it's still Arjun Maini leading the way. 1.4 seconds is the gap. The team choosing to leave him out as late as possible. Now the HRT team getting ready. It's Petru Razvan Umbrarescu who will be taking over from Arjun Maini. Now, will it be this time? I'm just trying to work out whether he's got enough time to get round again. Of course, there is a risk, because if you miss the pit window, then that normally brings about a very big penalty. But Arjun Maini's going to squeeze one more lap in. Not the case of Sven Muller. Into the pit lane he comes, getting ready to hand over to Finn Gerschitz. But Arjun Maini staying out for one more lap. He should be able to complete that, unless he has any issues. He should be able to do that before the pit window closes. Also in Elias Zeppelin and Ben Green. So everybody else pitting. So it's just Arjun Maini who is running the line and going to leave it to the absolute last minute. He will have to pit next time around, though, because he will not have time to get around again before the pit window closes. So all change. Elias Zeppelin is out. Salman Vega is in the Landgraf Motorsport Mercedes. Salman Vega, young driver, comes from three brothers, all of whom are racing. And his brother Yusuf, who was the highest placed Mercedes driver in the DTM race a few weeks ago, Oschersleben. It runs in the blood, don't you know? And Salman Vega, a really useful pilot. He and Elias Zeppelin really connecting as friends as well, which really helps. They say their driving styles are similar. But for Salman Vega, it's been a steep learning curve because he was driving an Audi last year. Now, that's very different to driving a Mercedes. Of course, the Audi has the mid-engine configuration, the Mercedes a front engine. As we see Finn Gerschitz, who has rejoined, well ahead of Salman Vega. Eduardo Cosatang, who's taken over from Ben Green. So the positions very much as you were. Arjun Maini is leading, but of course, will have to pit this time around. He's just coming into the pits now. Boy, he's left that one tight, hasn't he? With seconds to spare. You can tell he's done this before. Across the line, and now Arjun Maini is in. And here is Petru Razvan Umbrarescu getting ready to jump into the seat of that Mercedes. Being careful to keep to the speed limit. So our race leader to a stop. Now, Arjun Maini, come on, tear him out of the car, quick as you can, riding on board with Finn Gerschitz. So, Finn is running in around towards the Sachs curve in a moment, just looking to see where he is. Not quite at the Sachs curve yet, so heading up towards turn 12. And now he's round turn 12, and then into the Motordrome area, up to the Sachs curve. You can see that Umbrarescu is now in the car. So, Finn Gerschitz up to turn 14. It's a 17-turn track. Into 15, 16, and 17. This is going to be tight. Now, Umbrarescu is moving out onto the pit straight. Comes Finn Gerschitz. There he is. The yellow Porsche on the right-hand side. And it looks like Umbrarescu has done all that he needs to do. Just 0.3 seconds on, 0.3 of a second on the table. So, did exactly what they needed to do. And the Team U-Sport Wagen Technique Porsche team will be wishing they'd cut it a bit tighter, because that could have potentially given them the undercut out on the track, but it hasn't. So there is your first and second running together, but the gap now a lot closer than it was before the pit window opened. Now Petru Razvan Umbrarescu, the Romanian driver, and Finn Gersitz, the German driver, both relatively inexperienced, and they are running 1 and 2 in this race. It's going to be interesting to see who comes out on top between these two. In the background, Simon Vega, who arguably has a lot more experience in GT3 racing, he may well have his sights on this because he's going to be trying to close in. At the moment, it's a big gap. It's about 6.5 seconds, but he has a lot more experience in GT3 racing. He's got a little under 23 minutes plus 1 lap to do something about that 6.5 seconds from the leaders. Right, car 3, a penalty lap for an infringement. That is our race leader. So Petra Razvan Umbrarescu has got a penalty lap as a result of something that was done wrong in the pits. Let's have a look. Let's see what happened. It wasn't a time. And I'm wondering whether it was because he had exited the garage before the car had come to a stop. That may well be it. Petra Razvan Umbrarescu was moving before the car had come to a stop. He's going to have to visit the penalty box. This is a gift for Finn Gersitz because he is going to inherit the lead when the number 3 car has to slow down and pass through the penalty box. So you can back off, Finn, because at the moment that lead is going to be handed to you on a plate, gift wrapped with a ribbon and icing on top. But no, see, nobody's told him that, have they? So round the outside into the hairpin. Of course, Umbrarescu is going to have to back right off because he's got to take a much tighter line out of the corner to pass through the penalty box. Here we go. And there he slows right down and all the pressure is off Finn Gersitz because Petra Razvan Umbrarescu visits the penalty box, and that is such bad news for the team Haupt, who operate the Mercedes. He hasn't dropped too much in the way of positions. Well, he's dropped about 5 seconds, but Gersitz leads Simon Vega now right up with Umbrarescu, and second place, well, he must be licking his lips at the prospect of that. That is a definite possibility, and maybe even more. So Simon Vega, it's Mercedes versus Mercedes. Less than 21 minutes plus 1 lap, but Simon Vega, he has the skill, he has the experience, albeit with a very different kind of car, but he knows his way around this circuit, and Umbrarescu really doesn't. So Simon Vega along the pit straight, and he is going to be lining up the Mercedes in front before too long. So, high drama as our race leader has to visit the penalty box, and our new race leader, Finn Gersitz, well, this is truly a baptism of fire for him as he enjoys his second ever GT Masters race, learning as he goes. Further back, it's Simon Vega, who is challenging for that second place from Umbrarescu. In 4th place, Eduardo Cosseteng, who took over from Ben Green, and then Benjamin Heites in the number 63 Lamborghini. There is Ben, just looking at the data and analysing everything. They don't switch off when they're at the car. They don't just sit at the back and have a cup of tea. It's all about analysing, passing information on, and working to help the other driver. Look at the lead that Gersitz has. As a result of that trip to the penalty box, it was 4.864 seconds between first and second. So we'll keep an eye on that, 4.864. We'll see if that comes down. And 3rd place, Simon Vega, is going to be putting the pressure onto Umbrarescu in just a few moments. You can see that he's closed in. It is Mercedes versus Mercedes. The cars pretty identical, but run with different teams. It's Team HRT versus Team Landgraf, both with the Mercedes AMG GT3 Evo. Out of turn 17 they come. Great view from the front wing of the Vega car. The marshal's looking on, torch on the side, shouldn't need that. You can see the view in the graphic on the top left. Great camera angle just off the front wing of that car. Now, there is the leader passing through. The gap has opened up to 5.594, so I still think that if Vega can get past Umbrarescu, he might have something to say about the leader. All the cars still running at the moment, which is great news. We have 11 cars out on track. It's still Finn Gersitz who leads and continues to stretch his lead. And it could be Porsche who once again celebrate the Festival of Dreams with another win. That's a distinct possibility, isn't it? Petra Razvan Umberescu still fending off Salman Ovega. How much longer can he hold off for? Ovega looking very close. You can see the gap. You can see how much that is. Around turn 8 goes Gersitz. Now further back, this is for position Tim Zimmermann and Benjamin Heites. So this is for 5th place. Zimmermann has been nibbling away at the Lamborghini in front of him while we've been looking at the leaders. So 5th place now up for grabs. The GRT Grasser Lamborghini up ahead of them. Eduardo Cosseteng holding on to a solid 4th place at the moment. But Tim Zimmermann, of all of those drivers, the most experienced certainly in GT Masters. A previous winner, none more so than the win yesterday, but he's had a win before that as well. And Tim Zimmermann now closing in on Benjamin Heites at turn 17 along the pit straight. Is he close enough to do anything about the Lamborghini in front? He has a little look to the inside. He goes back onto the racing line too soon, maybe. But around turns 3 and 4, then it will be the Parabolica, which is turn 5. And that is a very fast part of the track, potentially picking up a slipstream in towards the hairpin. So I think there is every possibility Zimmermann might be lining up the car in front of Benjamin Heites to see if he can make a move into this next corner. So here we are, flat out along the Parabolica. He's a little far back, isn't he? He's gonna be slowing it down in time. He has a look to the outside. Heites goes to block him on the outside, not this time around then. Eduardo Cosseteng also involved there. And he will see this battle that is developing in his rear view mirror. But still, the positions remain as they are. It's Cosseteng in 4th place, Heites in 5th, Tim Zimmermann in 6th place. It is BMW versus Lamborghini versus a Porsche. You can see, again, the lap evolution between Cosseteng and Zimmermann. 4th to 6th, the meat in that sandwich, Benjamin Heites in the Lamborghini. We're reaching the final quarter of the race and it is all still to play for. Finn Gersitz continues to stamp his authority at the front with a 6.2 second gap, but this fight continues to rage on. It is for 4th place. Cosseteng, Heites, Zimmermann out along the pit straight they come once again. Picking up a little bit of dirt. I think that was Heites who went a little bit wide. Now down towards turn 1 they come. Still very much as you were. I still think that as they head in towards the hairpin, this might be where it all happens. They pass the pit exit. You can see Heites having a little look. You can see that Tim Zimmermann is very keen to jump in. If Heites makes a challenge on the BMW in front and it doesn't stick, then Zimmermann is going to be through and he's going to steal that position away. Look how close he is to Heites now as they head along the Parabolica straight towards the hairpin, foot to the floor all the way, and now looks again to the inside, ducks to the outside, and now even further around the outside. Surely he's not going to get around there. Now ducks back to the inside again, and then the drag race out towards turn 7. But Heites has that faster line around that corner in towards turn 8 under braking, and still Zimmermann can't find a route past. Now this part of the track not really creating opportunities for overtaking, so very much as you were. All of this is happening. It's allowing Eduardo Cosseteng and the Schubert Motorsport BMW to break clear. It's GRT Grasser Lamborghini versus Huber Racing Porsche 911. Yesterday's winner currently in 6th place, carrying that weight penalty of 20 kilos. Clearly that's having an effect as well. And then behind Zimmermann, Alain Valente in another Mercedes in 7th place. Just keeping a watch. Across the line we come once again. 6.257 is the gap between 1st and 2nd. So Finn Gersitz really doing a good job on this, his debut in GT Masters, his debut weekend, holding on to that gap. And Umbra Rescue still into second place. Salmon Vega, well, his gap from the leaders back down to third place, 6.87 seconds. And then Eduardo Cosseteng, Benjamin Heites and Tim Zimmermann in this battle that continues to rage on. Right, here we come again. Familiar along the Parabolica. Zimmermann once again in the slipstream. He looks to the outside. Again, Heites goes to block him. Now he cuts back to the inside on the Parabolica. Will Heites try and shut the door? He does, but somehow Zimmermann squeezes through. Looks like they've made contact. There's debris flying off the Porsche. Now it's a drag race towards turn 7. Absolutely side by side, and still Heites holds on to it. There was the smallest amount of contact and some debris that flew off the Huber Racing Porsche. Now, whether that would affect anything, we look here. Zimmermann goes to the inside, Heites goes to shut the door, and here, there was that little bit of contact. You see part of maybe the front splitter, and yes, there was the smallest amount of contact in the middle of the corner. And there is whatever that aerodynamic device was. Well, it's there for a reason, so it's not going to speed the car up shedding it, is it? But still, Zimmermann, well, he's not backing off. That seems to have set him off even more, really, doesn't it? Behind, Alan Valente has now joined in that battle. So suddenly, there are 4 cars in it. Well, it was 4, but Cosseteng is breaking clear. 12 minutes remaining. This is the fight for 5th place. Benjamin Heites in the Lamborghini, Tim Zimmermann in the Porsche, Alan Valente in the Mercedes. Tim Zimmermann, well, if he doesn't make it stick, he's going to get railroaded. This time he does, though. A real dive bomb through, but he can't slow it down enough, or can he? Yes, he can. And around turn 4, they come onto the Parabolica. Now is Heites going to try and come back at him as they head up towards the hairpin once again. Is Heites going to do a Zimmermann on Zimmermann? I don't think he's necessarily got the pace. And a warning has been given to Tim Zimmermann for that contact that we saw just a few moments ago. Heites having a look on the outside, as indeed is Alan Valente. But still, Zimmermann holds on. He tries to shut the door on Benjamin Heites. They're running side by side, and it looks like Zimmermann could lose that position. Heites is through once again. What a fight now, Alan Valente. He wants to get involved to the outside of Zimmermann, round the outside on turn 8. He tucks back into the queue, so as you were, gents, it is once again Benjamin Heites in 5th place. Great stuff, Tim Zimmermann. He's not done yet. Look who's in the background, though. Kim Louis Schramm, one of the stars of yesterday's racing, Janis Fischer. Soon, this 3-way battle is going to be a 5-way battle for 5th place. Having a look at a replay here, you can see the move that Zimmermann made to the inside. Heites tried to tuck back in and get through on the inside, but Zimmermann shut the door, and this was it up on the hairpin where Heites really did try to make that move, and it was almost 3 abreast as they came out of the hairpin towards turn 7 and turn 8, and Heites just found that gap on the inside, muscled his way through and stole that position away. So this fight, it goes on. This is allowing Eduardo Cosseteng to break clear. Look at this, 5 cars, and now in the background, Kim Louis Schramm. He's been a man on a mission all weekend. He's in 8th place at the moment. He could make that 5th place in less than 10 minutes plus 1 lap. And also joining in, Janis Fischer in the other of the Huber cars. This is the Huber Motorsport car at the back of that queue. So the pressure's really on Benjamin Heites now in the Lamborghini, and you do feel as though this is going to kick off. Petro Razvan Uberescu has closed in a little on the leader, but only by a second. It's still 5.6 seconds between first and second. Salmon Vega not really making any inroads into the lead battle, but then in 4th place, it is Eduardo Cosseteng. Behind him, the battle of the race. It rages on. Benjamin Heites, he's still there. Tim Zimmermann behind. Alan Valente, Kim Louis Schramm and Janis Fischer. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 cars all running together. A lot of pressure on that Lamborghini. Clearly, not the quickest car on the track. Car 10 has had a warning, Kim-Louis Schramm, for track limits on turn 1. And further back, Salmon Vega has closed up on Umbro Rescue. So this is for second place. Suddenly, it's all kicking off. We said as the race progressed, it might evolve, and indeed, that is exactly what's happened, because Salmon Vega has caught up with Petru Razvan Umbro Rescue, and Salmon Vega now has his eyes on second place. This fight for 5th place, Benjamin Heites still there, Zimmermann, Valente, Schramm, Fischer, there in the queue, racing to get past the Benjamin Heites car. Further back, Mokoena, a little way back from this fight, as indeed is Geltines. But Benjamin Heites still holding on to that 5th place. Now, Tim Zimmermann, he's getting fed up with challenging that Lamborghini. He's going to try a different route this time. He's going to try it round the outside of the hairpin. Can he make it stick, or is he going to lose a load of place doing it? Out of the hairpin they come towards turn 7, and Tim Zimmermann finally gets the job done into 5th place. Surely Heites can't come back at this. Well, he's going to give it a try, isn't he? Benjamin Heites under braking. That Lamborghini seems to be stronger in the 3rd sector of the track. Here we go again, a replay. Tim Zimmermann looks to the outside into the hairpin. You can just about hear Alan Valente thinking, shall I have a go as well? But decided to keep out of this particular battle. Tim Zimmermann's through and up into 5th place. There's our race leader. We've got about him, Finn Gersitz, doing a solid job at the front. Now Heites coming under pressure. This time, it looks like Kim-Louis Schramm is getting involved, as well as Alan Valente. It's Valente who's immediately behind him, and Schramm as well. And I think Kim-Louis Schramm might have some plans to try and get past both of them. Zimmermann's managed to break clear now, so it looks as though 5th place is pretty secure. So now the battle rages on. Benjamin Heites once again. This time it's for 6th place. Alan Valente is the next in the queue. Also Kim-Louis Schramm. Behind him, Janis Fischer. So these 4 cars have been glued together for some time now. We ride on board with Kim-Louis Schramm in the graphic on the left-hand side of the picture in 8th place. And you can see the view up ahead of him is Alan Valente, and then looking back at Janis Fischer. The forwards and backwards cameras. We bring you every angle here in the ADAC GT Masters. Benjamin Heites, that's 6th place, looking fairly desperate now as he tries to hold on. The Lamborghini not really as quick as the cars around it, whether that's tyres or whatever that is. He certainly looks to be struggling a little bit. Valente now putting the pressure on. We are almost into the last 5 minutes of racing, and still Benjamin Heites holds on for all he's worth. You can see how quickly Tim Zimmermann has broken away, and that says a lot about the pace that the Lamborghini has in comparison. And still Valente looks at the Lamborghini. Our race leaders continue on their way, but this is the closest battle on the track, and now Valente sees a gap on the inside, almost contact, and Valente loses it. You saw him take to the gap on the inside of turn 16. He looks up, the back end switches around, and the HRT Mercedes is left pointing in the wrong direction. And all that hard work, and suddenly Alan Valente drops down to 9th place. Here's another look. It was a really late braking maneuver. I think they might have made the slightest bit of contact, and then the car just turned around. He wasn't able to get it slowed down in time. And Alan Valente, all the hard work of working his way up there, along with co-driver Ralph Aron. Kim-Louis Schramm says, I'll have some of that, thank you very much. Comes sailing through and steals the position away. You can see there's Ralph Aron and Sergeant Miney as well in the team, looking very, very frustrated. And easy mistake to make, and they'll learn from it. Alan Valente down into 9th place. Our leader, Finn Gersitz, continues. What a mature drive from him. I really thought that he was going to come under pressure, but 6.3 seconds the last time they crossed the start-finish line. A wonderful drive from Petru Razvan Umbro Rescue, who is in 2nd place. And Salmon Vega in third place. So Vega, though, not necessarily done yet. He's still got a little under 4 minutes plus 1 lap to potentially challenge for the second step on the podium. And he, along with co-driver Elias Zeppelin, are very keen to make up for the disappointment of yesterday's race. And if they could get through and score themselves 20 points to go with the 2 that they earned in qualifying this morning, they would be very happy about that. A big gap back to Eduardo Cosseteng, so he's in a fairly solid 4th place. I can't see that changing very much in the next 3.5 minutes. Tim Zimmerman is closing on Eduardo Cosseteng, but he's really going to struggle to do anything about it with a little over 3 minutes plus 1 lap of this race remaining. The same could not be said for Benjamin Heites in 6th place. Kim Louis Schramm continues to monster his every move here at the Hockenheimring. And behind him, Janis Fischer. Now here comes a challenge once again. The BMW on the outside. Kim Louis Schramm trying to make the move around the hairpin, trying to go the long way around, can't quite make it stick. You've got to admire Benjamin Heites for his defensive driving. He's doing a fantastic job placing that Lamborghini exactly where he needs to go. But now Janis Fischer, well, he has visions of getting past both of them, doesn't he? Benjamin Heites, can he hold on for another 2.5 minutes plus 1 lap from this fight? Can he do it? He has been holding on by the skin of his teeth for what feels like the second half of this race. Kim Louis Schramm in the BMW came so close to getting past then. Janis Fischer also joining in the background is Alan Valente after that spin. Quanda Mokoene is in 10th place and Jonas Geltinis in 11th place. So looking back once again from the perspective of Kim Louis Schramm, driver who has been driving Audis for as long as I can remember seeing him, now in the BMW, and appears to be very much at home in the big BMW. Still trying to elevate from 7th place, trying to improve. His 4th place was yesterday, so he's not going to beat that one, but would love to get up to 6th place. He's running out of time though. Less than 1.5 minutes plus 1 lap of this race remaining. Still, Heites holds on to 6th place. Finn Gersitz out the front, 5.8 seconds ahead of Umbra Rescue. Vega in 3rd, still pushing hard, trying to get that 2nd place, but not as hard as Kim Louis Schramm is pushing Benjamin Heites. We're into the final minutes. It could all change yet. Janis Fischer now trying to make a challenge on the BMW. Kim Louis Schramm shuts the door on the Porsche. Around towards turn 7 they come. And that has given Benjamin Heites a real opportunity just to breathe a little. That was a gift for Heites because Janis Fischer suddenly attacking Kim Louis Schramm, forcing the BMW to go on the defense, and that allows the Lamborghini to break free a little. In the background, Alan Valente coming back from that spin. Still very much as you were, but it could all yet change. Janis Fischer, you can see how close he's getting. He looks to the inside of the big BMW, and now Kim Louis Schramm surrenders a position. It's Janis Fischer who squeezes through out of turn 17 and out to take that position away. Janis Fischer up into 7th place. Now what can he do about Benjamin Heites in what will be a lap and a half of this race, because the clock has struck 0. The leader is heading up towards turn 6 as we look again, just a big gap on the inside. You get a feeling maybe the tyres have cried enough after an hour of hardcore running. Finally, Kim Louis Schramm goes deep into the corner, and that Janis Fischer goes sailing through. There is our race leader. What a fantastic display. Yes, Sven Muller did a lot of the hard work in qualifying, but you've got to take it over. You've got to bring it home, and Finn Gersitz showing just what he's made of as he continues to lead this race by such a long way. He's got about just over a lap left, and then it will be the checkered flag. Benjamin Heites, well, now the BMW's gone. Now it's a Porsche. So Janis Fischer says, stand aside, let me have a go. And you can see how quickly Kim Louis Schramm has dropped back, and you feel as though maybe his tyres really are roasted in this hot sunshine. Here comes our race leader, 6 seconds. He's held that gap over second place Petru Razvan Umbra Rescue. Hasn't allowed it to come down at all, really. Umbra Rescue has Salmon Vega for company. They are on to the final lap of the race. It is race 2 of a 12-race season in the ADAC GT Masters. And it's Finn Gersitz who leads the way from Petru Razvan Umbra Rescue. Salmon Vega in second, just ahead of Eduardo Cosseteng and Tim Zimmermann. But this is the fight. Benjamin Heites and Janis Fritscher. This is for 6th place. Janis Fritscher, you just know he's going to try something, don't you? The leader is up to turn 6 at the moment. This duo is going to come up to the Parabolica in a second. This will be Janis Fritscher's last real chance to make a move on the 6th place Benjamin Heites car. There is Alan Valente in the background, coming back to the queue of cars in front of him right now into the hairpin. That's Eduardo Cosseteng, Tim Zimmermann. That is 4th and 5th place. Now we'll see what happens behind them as well. The 4th place is not over yet, is it? Either. Right, here we go. Now, trying to go around the outside. Janis Fritscher's taking the long route around the hairpin in the closing stages of this race. And he steals that position away. Janis Fritscher, that was the hardest 6th place he's had to work for, wasn't it? But he's finally got it. Benjamin Heites is relegated down a position. But here comes our race leader. The second race of the season for the ADAC GT Masters goes the way of Finn Gersitz, along with Sven Muller for Team U Sportwagen Technique. It's Porsche once again at the Festival of Dreams who take the top step of the podium. What a phenomenal display. Brilliant driving from Finn Gersitz. Now, this battle further back, we can see how quickly Janis Fritscher has left behind Benjamin Heites, and the fight continues further back. Cosseteng just holding off Tim Zimmermann. It was Salmon Vega in 3rd. It's Petru Razvan Umbra Rescue in 2nd. The rest of the cars come sailing across the line, and the fights went on all the way to the checkered flag. Great stuff. But what a success story. Porsche at the Festival of Dreams when we celebrated 75 years of Porsche sports cars. They do the double. Yesterday, it was Huber Racing. Today is Team U Sportwagen Technique. And I should think Finn Gersitz, who was very frustrated yesterday, will be emotional. This fight's still going on. It's Kwanda Mokoena who comes home in 10th place to hold off Jonas Gelsinis and steal the last positions in this race. Great job from Kwanda Mokoena as well, and you just know he will have been loving his experience there. So on board the Engsler Motorsport Audi, the cars on the wind down lap. Fantastic stuff. Looking again here at Janis Fritscher around the outside on the hairpin. What a bold move this was of Benjamin Heites, using every scrap of the track and squeezing past Kim Louis Schramm, who took over from him. Well, you just get the feeling that maybe the tyres have gone. Gosh, you can see how hard Benjamin Heites was having to fight that Lamborghini. The back end was very loose going into the corner. But he steals the position away. Janis Fritscher, that will be the 6th place. Here is your classifications. Finn Gersitz crossing the line along with Sven Muller. Petru Razvan Umbra Rescue and Arjun Maini in 2nd. Salmon Vega and Elias Sepinen picking up some useful points in 3rd, ahead of Edward Cosseteng and Ben Green. Tim Zimmermann, Jackson Evans in 5th, ahead of Janis Fritscher, Nico Menzel, and Benjamin Heites and Marco Mapelli in 7th, ahead of Kim Louis Schramm and Igor Valilko. Fantastic stuff. 9th place went to Alan Valente. And he, of course, was sharing with Ralph Aron. Probably not the result then hoped for. And then Kwanda Mokoena and Dylan Yip ahead of Jonas Galsinis and Jonas Karklees. Team Jonas coming home in 11th place. So the crowd once again entertained here at the Hockenheimring in the beautiful sunshine. The debut weekend of the Brand new ADAC GT Masters for 2023, and a great season ahead of us. We're expecting some more cars when we get to the Norrisring in a few weeks' time, from the 7th to the 9th of July. And then we head to the Nürburgring also in July, and that is just a week after that. So racing back-to-back weekends in July for the ADAC GT Masters. But at the moment, well, this is the second of 4 races at the Hockenheimring this year in the GT Masters, because, as already mentioned, we'll be back here in October. It'd be nice if the weather was like this, wouldn't it? For the season closer. There are the points. So Tim Zimmerman and Jackson Evans remain at the top of the points, but Finn Gersitz and Sven Muller just 1 point behind in the point standing. Ben Green and Eduardo Cosseteng in the Schubert Motorsport BMW, third in the points. It's lovely and close, isn't it? And remember, that can all change even before we hit a green flag. Come on, you can do it. Give him a pull. Still got to practice getting out one of these things. I tried to do it once, and it's hard work. You have to be a limbo dancer to get in and out of these cars. Yes, so points are awarded for qualifying. Don't forget, so it could all change before we even take the green flag for the next race. Finn Gersitz. What a mature drive. Oh, beg your pardon. Terribly sorry for any bad language that might have got through there. The bleep machine needs to work a bit more overtime. But it is a very excited Petru Razvan Umbrarescu, along with Archie Miney, who I think second place was a pretty good job. Not as good as that though. Sven Muller and Finn Gersitz. Just talking to Finn, he was so pleased to be part of this team and to be in GT Masters. He was in the Asian Le Mans series last year, has done ELMS and Michelin Le Mans Cup and LMP3, so very, very different. He did do a Porsche Super Sports Car Cup here at Hockenheim in 2020, but this is a whole different ball game. And to take over from Sven Muller, who is such a great mentor, Sven Muller, who knows so much about Porsche, to take over from him and to hold that gap at the front and to not lose his head, and particularly after a day yesterday where he was very frustrated, having been involved in an incident and getting summoned to the penalty box as Elias Seppänen. So here's a nice replay of the number 91 car crossing the finish line in the sunshine, and the crowd here at the Hockenheimring very much enjoying the racing that we've been witnessing this weekend. And once again, it's Porsche. So we've got Carrera Cup, Porsche Carrera Cup Germany, Porsche Carrera Cup Benelux. We've got some classic Porsches racing as well, and 2 GT Masters races. It means that Porsche has won every single race this weekend. That is one heck of a way of celebrating the Festival of Dreams. The celebration of 75 years of Porsche sports cars, and you couldn't write the script, could you? There are the points classifications. It is very close indeed. It could all change in the blink of an eye. These drivers who are at this opening round getting the points, literally making hay while the sun shines, because as the grid grows during this season, those points may well count very significantly indeed. You can see that all drivers have scored points, which is wonderful to see. And that is your point standings, and that's a great way of camping, isn't it? On the roof of those Porsches. I wouldn't put one of those on the roof of a Porsche if I had one. Anyway, that's third place. The number 48 car, Elias Seppänen and Salman Ovega for Mercedes-AMG Team Landgraf. Second place, Petru Umbrarescu, Petru Razvan Umbrarescu to give his full name, and Arjamaini for Hout Racing Team in the Mercedes-AMG GT3 Evo, but ruining Mercedes' party and making the Porsche weekend almost perfect. Team U Sportwagen Technique by Race Motion with Sven Muller and Finn Gersitz at the wheel. So that was races 1 and races 2 of this opening round of a slightly delayed ADAC GT Masters season. The new look GT Masters, and a great foundation for building this series as we continue through this year and beyond. Great to have GT Masters back and very much alive and kicking, and will be growing as we go from one round to the next. So as already mentioned, it is the Norris Ring next time around. That'll be the 7th and 9th of July. That is going to be really interesting. Back there, the first time we've had GT Masters on a street circuit in a very long time. The legendary Nürburgring from the 14th to the 16th of July, and that is with the Truck Grand Prix. And then Sachsenring, 8th to the 10th September, the undulating Sachsenring, complete with the waterfall. What an amazing hill that is. If you've ever tried to run or even walk up the waterfall, you'll realise why it is named as such. A really tough track, a real tyre killer as well, the Sachsenring is, but a wonderful place for a championship round. Then to Austria, 22nd to the 24th September, the Red Bull Ring. And hopefully the weather will be something like this, because it is glorious in Spielberg. And then it all comes to a close back here again in October at the Hockenheimring, the 20th to the 22nd, alongside the DTM program for races 11 and 12. Right, Elias Zeppelin and Sam Vega onto the podium. They were disappointed not to make it there yesterday. They've made up for it today. Arjun Maini, there's vocal fan club with Petri Razvan Ambrorescu, the Romanian driver and the Indian driver. But stealing the headlines for Team U Sportwagen Technique, it is Sven Muller and the young Finn Gersitz who take the top step of the podium. German national anthem echoing throughout this legendary circuit here in Hockenheim. So here come the trophies. What great trophies. Albrecht Reimold, who presents to our race winners. Team Use looking very enthusiastic. And Kai Winkler from Pirelli presenting the second place trophies. That would look good on any mantelpiece, wouldn't it? The big 75 in the middle, celebrating 75 years of Porsche sports cars. Christian Gerich, who presents the third place trophies. And there will be a trophy also for Team Use, the winning team. They get a trophy as well to go along with the many that they scooped last year and will add to for this year. So there you have it. That was the new look ADAC GT Masters. What a great starting point this has been. A classic race yesterday, a good race today, and a great season ahead of us. This has been race 2 of a 12-race season. We haven't got long to wait before we head to the Norrisring, the legendary circuit. And boy, that will be action-packed, because it always is. So why not make sure you join us there for that. Along the package will also be the DTM as well. So it will be a celebration of all things GT3, throw in some prototypes and lots of other things as well. It will be a weekend to remember. The ADAC GT Masters is returning to the Norrisring. Join us then, 7th to the 9th of July. We'll see you then. Bye-bye.